Look at us.
Whoa! Solving problems.
Solving
One
problems. Left,
problem at a
right, putting
time.
out fires. You should call
Anything.
me a firefighter right now. I'm
You
a
know-
firefighter, TK. I never wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to be, you know what I wanted to be?
I wanted to be a firefighter. But go ahead.
Did you want to be a firefighter?
Yep.
No
After
way.
high school, I went to Seneca Fire Protection. And then I said, no thanks. Sign me up for real estate. And at 19 years old, I signed up for my real estate course because that's what I was supposed to do.
That's what butlers do, damn it.
Damn it.
Damn it, that's what butlers do.
I'm on Twitter now.
I know.
I see what
I was
the
like
heck
one of your
you've
first
been talking about.
followers. No,
You're
wasn't
amazing.
I'm amazing?
Yeah, but it's incredible, like the type of people, like people really hate realtors.
Some people
You,
hate
yeah, not a
realtors.
lot, not everyone. but
Not me. I don't hate
no,
realtors.
but
I
there,
love realtors.
there is some haterade on Twitter. Like, I mean, in the comments, we got a little bit of it. Actually, I commented on another agent's video, and I was just commenting because I'm here to support people. And the comments, someone responded to my comments saying this and that. And then I looked at the other comments and I was like, whoa, like these are really negative. And Twitter's really negative too.
You really have to learn how to be on Twitter. I unfortunately, as I do in most things, I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
I learned by, getting slammed around in a cage match on there.
You handle it with grace. Why do people not like realtors, Joe? Tell me.
Why do they not like realtors? Well,
Yep.
that's a really good question. So
Give
there,
me the reasons.
I'll give you a few reasons that I can think of.
Yep. Let's get down to the bottom of it.
Well, I think one, I mean, they make a lot of money. So anybody that makes a lot of money instantly gets
Who
a
makes a
target.
lot of money?
Realtors. I mean, that's the
realtors?
perception. No, most
Okay.
most actually don't make anything.
Okay, good.
But we listen. They're not only in social media, but regular media, TV shows, and each individual realtor on their own, as most realtors feel the need to build up an image for themselves that they are super successful, regardless of whether or not they are or aren't, right? So when they pull up in their Mercedes or they pull up in their Porsche or they pull up in their whatever the hell, right? Because they're all trying to portray this image.
Yeah.
Not too many show up in like a Corolla. And if they do, then you start to wonder, like, why the hell is my agent in a Corolla? Like,
So
right? So but that's one thing. We all think you guys make too much money on the purchase of our homes. Okay. Yeah. So that it's whether it's right or wrong. Okay. Yeah. You may debunk them. Do you want to debunk them one at a time?
Well, let's go with that first one, the car vehicle. So when they say that real estate agents control bidding wars and we control prices and we control,
you didn't even let me get to those.
No,
I'm on the list.
I'm just saying when they say that, I'm 100% sure we don't, because if we did, we'd always make it go our way. It's the buyers who dictate that. That's the market. The car thing. If a realtor doesn't drive a nice car, people won't want to use that person, or their perception will be that person's not successful. That's the truth.
Do you remember what I said to you one day?
Some people. Then if you do get a car, they say, oh my God, look at him. He's got a luxury vehicle. I can't believe it. What a piece of work he is. It's the market. It's not just the market. It's the market. Anyways, go ahead. Let's go.
Well, okay. So also, I think a lot of realtors currently, especially, are giving information or opinions that they necessarily shouldn't be, while simultaneously saying, like, why are you listening to me? My job is just to present the facts to you and you make a transaction, and I'm here to just facilitate it.
That's a very small subsection of realtors that you're exposed to. Maybe all the ones on Twitter, but not every realtor's on Twitter.
So people think, what about like when you double end a deal and control the bidding war? Why are you laughing? You
because
evil realtor.
because who if we could control it, we would always make it go our way. It doesn't always go our way. The
What does that
buyers
mean? What does
control
that mean?
the buyers decide if they all want to compete or not. The buyers decide if they want to have multiple representation or not, which I don't agree with, but it happens. The buyers decide if they want to pay a certain price or not. No realtor's got that power to just go around waving a wand saying you buyer is going to pay X and you three buyers, you're all going to compete because this is the best listing.
What about I'm not showing this one because my buyer, I want to double end this thing. I have a buyer. I'm not going to present all these offers here. This is
Small subsection of realtors. Yes, there's unethical realtors.
that happens, right?
There's unethical plumbers, there's unethical engineers, there's unethical ferry drivers. They let their friends
unethical ferry drivers are really
friends
fucking
on for
things
free
up in the real
right?
estate market, aren't they?
Yeah.
Fucking ferry drivers.
Anyways,
right.
let's not get too deep into
well,
it.
Listen,
the main thing is this.
You guys are responsible for inflation. This episode is brought to you by Landlord.
This landlord software is a game changer. You upload your properties, right? You'll upload all the information, income, expenses, timelines, mortgage details, everything that you need to have so that you keep track of everything in your portfolio. And as you go through real-time adjustments in, rent increases and water bills and tax bills and everything else, they're going to actually give you recommendations on how to make your portfolio more efficient. And it just breaks everything down for me in a way that I've never seen before. Like Excel spreadsheets just don't cut it. I don't think there's a better program or app out there for investors, and it's free.
Please click the link below for your free trial offer.
I hear the hate. I get it why people about the money part, because there are some
You're pumpers.
There's a lot of agents who are overpaid for what they do and what they know and where they come from and wherever else, right? There's definitely a lot of agents that are overpaid for the actual service that they provide. Overall average though, agents don't make any more money than any average job. If you averaged out agents' income, it's always around 50K or something like that a year. It's a pretty basic job.
Yeah, listen, it's an easy finger. It's like an easy target to point a finger at, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? There are people who are not supposed to be realtors, and there's also a ton of good realtors. I've met so many fantastic professionals over the years who do fantastic jobs, who care so much about their clients, who make a reasonable income, nothing crazy, and they're a valuable service to the public. It exists. Like there's a ton of them out there.
So when you guys have like your weekly meetings and you guys are like talking to each other and telling each other stories about what's going on, like how often is the conversation about like this awesome realtor I just work with versus, and like you should have seen this clown I'm dealing with on this deal, like the paperwork, I can't even believe like what this guy,
the old saying, right? If you do a good job, right, they'll tell one person. If you do a bad job, they'll tell 10 people. Right. So I think that's probably true. So yeah, you're right. I hear more about, I was dealing with this problem or that problem, but at the end of the day, things are mostly good.
Wouldn't it be amazing if you could choose who the other realtor would be that you got to work with? I guess that's never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
Never
so what's going on out there? There's
a lot going on out there,
but I wanted off today with Darryl. What's going on?
Well, I wanted to ask you, like, there's a few people out there that are actually posting videos and tweeting out comments about things maybe looking up over the last week. I heard Mr. Sessa was saying showings were picking up and offers were picking up and numbers in some areas were picking up.
Let's just say this. There are a ton of people who want to buy houses. They're dying to buy houses. They need a place to live. They can only hold on for so long, right? Yes, prices are going down. Yes, but people still need a place to live. So it shouldn't be a shock that anybody's buying in this market.
No, okay? There's a lot, but there is considerably less than
absolutely 47% less in July compared to last year. I mean, and the July numbers were really low. I mean, it's been years, like I think it was 20 years or something like that since we had a July that slow.
Yeah, there's been a lot of 20-year records lately in the last few months. decline after decline after decline. But I mean, I guess that's not news anymore, right?
No, I mean it is what it is. The
We're all expecting it.
stats came in. We all expected it. One big thing is also luxury markets are hit harder. So any of those average prices you have to be very, very careful of, because if you go and you look at the Treb HPI, right? Sorry, I didn't have the exact number. I'll pull it up in a second. When you look at the Treb HPI, which is the first one, so the MLS Home Price Index Composite Benchmark was up 12.9% year over year, up 12.9%. The average price is only up 1.2% or something. Okay, so the luxury houses have been taken out of the equation, further driving down average price. So it's not, as bad as it's still not great, right? We were starting to see that composite price at 28, 29% year over year in the earlier part of this year. So that growth is slowed down. But there is a case to say that your house is worth more today than it was a year ago. Right? There, in some areas, there's definitely areas where that's not true. Now, condos, that's definitely true. Condos is definitely, they're definitely up. HPI is definitely up.
It's pretty crazy though. Like there's some interesting numbers within the numbers in the last month. Like there is, I mean, townhouses and condos and semis, all average price went up, right? I mean, I don't know why we're even talking about year over year numbers right now. They're so meaningless, especially this year versus last year of all years. It's like the dumbest shit ever. Now, funny enough, as I'm looking at the Treb numbers, because I figured we were going to talk about that today.
Yeah.
I'm looking at them going like, man, somebody's got to like do month over month numbers. Hang on. Somebody's got to be doing month over month numbers. There are way better sites to look at the Toronto real estate numbers, or actually anywhere in Canada's numbers, than any of these real estate boards, services and releases. It's pretty pathetic, actually. Yeah. But what's interesting is that there's segments of the market going up and segments going down, and then even as you filter deeper into like the specific areas or zones, like CO1, for example, or whatever, there's a lot of them actually going up, which is pretty crazy. What's going on?
Again, each market is always going to be dependent on supply and demand. So you have people who are shifting that demand around, and in those 905 areas, the demand weakened. All these people who were thinking about moving out of the city or wanted to move out of the city, or they thought they could only afford to be in Oshawa, now they can go to Scarborough, or whatever the case may be. Honestly, the majority of the buyers I'm working with right now couldn't afford to be in the market when the market was hot. Sorry. Like they might have had a budget. Some of them are big budgets, but the type of house that they want wasn't in their budget.
But that's based on purchase price. What about actual payment?
I understand, but there's down payment requirements that are a little bit different. Like one of them, like full disclosure, there's like it's a cash buyer, right? It's family money, and then there's like loan, bank of mom and dad's coming in to help, right? Another one is money from a corporation and stuff like that. So they got a certain amount of down payment, and it's a big down payment. So again, the son only wants to have so much mortgage to be able to handle. Another one is different types of housing and stuff like that just weren't in their price point. Again, down payment's a big one, right? There's people who have 5% down, right? That they can get a mortgage and that they can qualify. They're high income, low down payment, right? So those people exist. I'm not saying that I have any of those, but that's an example of people who are coming to the market and that they weren't able to afford it before. And so, maybe their payments are a little bit higher, but now their down payment will actually qualify for the type of property they want. So anyways, long story short.
But are we picking up in pace?
Then you have all these people who psychologically didn't want to get into the market because of that. There's people who do not want to compete. They do not want to. I have a buyer like that. He's another cash buyer, but still, he's like, I don't want to compete. And so I don't want to do bidding wars. And we've been doing this for like 3 years. And it's like, I get it, right? And finally, one that he likes, he goes, if I can get it for asking, I'll take it, right? And I'm like, oh, good, let's figure it out. And sure enough, another offer came in, and he said, you know what, I'm not competing, I refuse. And I went over all the pros and cons of this and that, And
Did it go under
the,
asking?
the property sold for asking.
Oh,
So it was maybe an opportunity that, you know, could have been had, but it is what it is. You know, there's psychological blocks that people have on competing and stuff like that. And, you know, you deal with people. I mean, I really am good at keeping myself out of it for the most part. That's the main goal here. It has nothing to do with me. The decisions that people make, whether they want to buy or sell, it has nothing to do with me. And as long as
but
they
hold on a
want
second.
to, they buy it.
Are we busier in the last week,
Um,
or is it the same?
yeah, I think it's the same.
Same.
And it depends on the product I'm selling. Like I had a couple listings that were really busy over the last couple weeks, so that was more activity on my showings. I put one up this week. I got 4 showings right away in Thornhill, Royal Orchard, and
But
you
like
know,
a couple weeks ago, you guys were all saying, you know, it's like crickets out there. You don't even get a showing. It's like crazy. And now
I
you're
still have
saying
some of
4
those
showings
listings.
right away. You
I
told me
still have
about
some of
another
those
deal
listings too. It's
yesterday.
pricing, it's area. You know, there's some of the properties that, you know, are on at prices from the past that aren't going to sell.
So
And the
are
people who
sellers more realistic?
I took some grief, a little bit of grief on Twitter about how to sell your home in this market. You'd be the best deal on the block.
Well, yeah,
Because
and you know what?
let's go over that.
Well, NASMA also said the best strategy is to be the lowest price right now.
Yeah. So think
Well,
about it.
okay, great.
If we know, so 6% loss in the month of July, let's assume that we're going to have another 5% loss in the month of August. And you really want your $1 million. You think, man, $1 million is
Oh,
going to be mine.
5% a
I
month
love it.
losses we're talking about. This is crazyville, man.
Great. So you think $1 million, all my neighbors have sold for $1 million. It's got to be worth $1 million. Every realtor who's come in here said it's $1 million. Fantastic. But if you listed at $1 million and there's only one buyer and 2 of your other neighbors with the same house also list at $1 million, only one of you is going to sell. And by the time that one buyer buys
It
and the
ain't a
next buyer
million.
comes in, it's going to be at 950. And then when all 3 of those sellers decide to list and they all go, "Ooh, let's go, 950. That's the price now." Now there's 3 offers and only one buyer, 3 listings and only one buyer at 950. And guess what happens the next month? 900. So yeah, it stings to know that you could have got $1 million and that maybe even some of the data supports $1 million. But if you just listed at 950 and you get it sold, you know that your neighbors aren't going to get more because you got the only buyer in the neighborhood. He came to you. He bought your property. There was only one. Those other 2 will end up dropping it to 950 and another 2 listings will come up. Now there's 4, only one buyer again. One of those guys will also get 950, but the next guy is going to have to take 900. And you're going to be
Okay.
sitting pretty saying, man, I'm glad I went for 950. And when that deal closes and your property's worth 875, just like the buyers who bought for 875 and it ended up being worth 950 by the time they moved in February, you know, moved in May, or bad example, December and February,
Yeah.
they're going to say, wow, I made a really good decision because the market's gone in my favor, which is in a downward market for the sellers. The market's now going down and that closing date price is lower than they actually got and they feel really good. It's called delayed gratification.
Okay,
That's what
so hold
sellers
on
need
a
to be
second.
doing.
But there's a lot of people, and
Mhm.
there was actually an article talking about it. More homeowners canceling listings, turning homes into rentals as housing market cools. We also actually see in the numbers from month to month numbers, active listings going down from month to month, which is
Yeah.
an interesting thing in a market like this. Like we would all expect active listings to be going bananas, right?
Not a good time to
So
sell. So people who aren't
don't
serious
have to sell, yeah.
aren't going on the market.
Mm, mhm. So, I mean, we see this interesting pullback in residential homeowners going, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not selling in this market. I'm going to wait. Let's see what happens. You have the number is now up to 10,000 new units put on hold by new home builders, right? And developers. So everybody is like, you know what? I don't need to sell. Fuck this shit. I'm okay right now. It would have been nice maybe if I had a little more, but like I'm okay. Let's just everybody's got the brakes put on. Meanwhile, there's still like 3,600 sales in the GTA. I mean,
There's
that's not
buyers.
like if you look at
They need
other
housing.
markets, it's a rip roaring market. Forget about in Canada, even some big cities in the United States and Europe, like it's a rip roaring market. which is crazy, which people are going to freak out on me for saying that, I'm sure, because it's not.
You mean prices aren't going to go down 50%?
Can you believe people are waiting like 19 days on average now to sell their house? Like these people must like
gosh.
not be sleeping for almost
You mean they have to
3
take
weeks.
under asking?
Under asking. Okay, so here, that's great that you said that. And maybe your whole starting thing was in retaliation to the tweet that I put out. Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
But an issue that I personally have, and maybe I'm out to lunch, but like when a realtor says, you know what, like market's crap, like I think you should take this thing. I know it's less than you wanted, and I know it's under asking. In my head, where I go, and what I tweeted about yesterday, I think it was, is like if I lose $100,000, or if I take 100,000 less than I wanted or needed in order to get where I wanted to get or get what I wanted to get, the realtor, the effect to the realtor is like $1,600 after he pays his splits and his commissions and whatever's, right? And I just took $100,000 hit. So like, is the advice coming from a place of best interest for the client? Like, is there another offer out there for more than that offer? Or is it a like a pro? Are you frozen? Is it a program scare tactic?
How
Like,
do
is
you
this something you guys practice at the Frank Leo Institute of Sales and
sales
Technology?
strategy and technology?
Right?
Yeah.
Just tell them they're never going to get another offer like this, man. And the market's going to shit. They should take it now. This is my advice to
it's
you.
a really
Take it now.
it's a really good question. And so something my dad always taught me actually, right, is because this is a hard thing for a real estate agent when you've got the property listed at $1 million and that offer comes in at 850 and it's been 60 days and you've had all the feedback and it's the only offer you've had, and that buyer said you're
What if
you're
you
they're not
had
go,
no
they're not
other
they're,
listings
they're,
too? What if it
they're,
was your only
forget
listing?
that shouldn't be a part of the equation. But my dad always said to me, whenever because I'd get to those situations and I'd call him up and say, geez, they're only willing to pay X. Hopefully it wasn't 150K under, but he'd always say, do you honestly believe that that's a fair and reasonable offer? Right? And if my answer was, no, I think we can get more based on that than the other, he says, then tell the other agent that, this is what it is and move on. And if I'm like, yeah, that is a fair, reasonable, the buyer is being fair and reasonable, the sellers aren't, then it's like, you better go and tell the sellers. Otherwise, they're making the wrong decision. Right. And, so how I do that is 3 ways. So the first one is I look at, when that buyer comes, is this the most that buyer? So after negotiations, is this buyer maxed out? So have we pushed this buyer as much as possible so we know that that's the most amount of money that they're willing to pay? Then the next part is there anybody else that we know of who's willing to pay more? So you push out the offer, you talk to all the parties who are interested, you get feedback from everybody, are you guys interested? Are you interested? No. See if there's any other offers out there. So now we know it's the highest price that they're willing to pay. We know that there's no other offers out there. Then we look at the data. Does the data support this? Are there any other active listings that aren't selling? Has there been any sales? Have there been any sales at all during your listing period? Maybe that's something else that you got to look at, but does the data support that price? And if all those 3 things are in line, then I recommend the seller that that's the best offer, and it's up to them to decide to take it or not. Right. And if it's fair and reasonable, then that means sometimes the seller's price is just not the right price. And every real estate agent has to deal with that at one point or another.
Right. But the seller's price is your price too, right? As the listing agent.
No, never.
No, never.
Like, I mean, I don't have a price. If it was my price, I'd give everybody $5 million and send them on their way. Right?
No, but you don't get to pick the
I don't have a
price the
price.
buyer's going to pay, but
I don't have a price.
you don't have a price.
I
You
never
don't
have
have
a
a
price.
suggested retail
How am I
sticker
supposed to have a
price,
price? I'm not the buyer.
MSRP price.
No, the market dictates the price. I'm not the one with the price. If it was my price, if it was up to me, everyone would get way more than they want, and they would tell all their friends and give me 5-star Google reviews.
So what's
it's
the
not up to
current
me.
strategy? Like, do we just look at the most current, highest
The
comp?
current strategy is to be the best price property in the neighborhood.
By how much?
By enough to make sure that the clear decision is, because every property is different, but to make sure that it's a very clear. So condos, you could be 10 grand cheaper than the identical unit, something silly like that. But on a house, You know, maybe you're a bigger house, but you're priced the same as a smaller house, or renovated and unrenovated, whatever. But you got to look at the.
So, and the strategy is not to go like, we're going to list it at 899, but we're willing to take 850 and let's see what happens. If we're willing to take 850, we go at 850 and hope that we don't get
Oh, I see what
beat.
you're saying. Yeah, definitely.
What's the strategy?
Don't go. I'm gonna ask for more just to see, like, for negotiation purposes. Now, that being said, maybe there are some examples where that works because you're in a market where there's no inventory, and that you can, you know, pad the asking price a little bit just to kind of see what the market says. But I'm setting it up so that after 2 weeks, we're reanalyzing what the market's doing, because you can't be caught in this market for very long sitting around.
So what do you do in a situation where like you have somebody who wants to list a property and it's the only listing in the area, but there's one other one that's been sitting forever and they keep dropping the price, and like what do you do? But like theirs is definitely worse than yours.
Mhm.
Like what do you do in that situation? Like you know what I'm saying?
You be the best priced property in the area. I have one coming up
So you have to even beat that guy?
the one that the painter's on. I'm not basing it just on that. I'm looking at the sales, I'm looking at the data, I'm looking at the year over years, I'm looking at the fact that my property backs onto a hydro field.
That's what I'm saying. Like
the other
that,
ones don't. So
oh,
we're going on at the
right.
best price in the neighborhood. That's it. And the market will tell us what it's worth.
Hydro field, no matter what market you're in, this is like
It's a tough sale. Right?
this is the
Tough
play.
sale.
Yeah, you're not going multiples when you're backing onto the hydro line.
Exactly. So I'm looking at it like, how do we make sure that we price this at a point that makes sense? It's a fair and reasonable price. It's much higher than it would have been in 2020. So
it's
that's
not
good. So there,
yeah.
we know that there's some appreciation.
So,
there
but
in the
I'm
last couple
asking
years.
about the reverse situation where your house is good. The one you want to list is good, but there's a shitter on the market for like 65 days that just won't sell because like it's one that would have gone like
It's
crazy.
It's a loaded question. You could
but
price
that's what I'm saying. What do you do?
You could price it at the same as them. You could.
Same as them, but
You
they're
could.
destroying everything.
But they haven't sold.
No, but they're dropping their pants like
Well, guess what?
like
Nothing
what?
matters more than the desperation of your neighbors.
Yes,
Nothing matters more. If you've got a bunch of bad
You should
neighbors,
buy your neighbor and just say, stop the bleeding.
if your
Everybody
neighbors are
buy
all
the
going,
neighbor.
if your neighbors are all, you know, getting scared and they need to get money and they're all death, divorce, all the reasons that be moving out of the country, and they all start selling their houses, you didn't pick the wrong agent. You picked the wrong neighbors.
The wrong neighborhood.
Yeah.
But is there a neighborhood like that? Like I hear like a lot of people in Leaside are getting divorced. I don't know where that came from, but I heard that.
It makes sense to me. I don't know. I feel
kind
like
of makes a little bit of
neighborhood.
sense.
Viewers, anybody who's listening right now, if you're living in, you know, Leaside, you know, go, you know, call your husband or wife and let them know that you love them.
Actually, you know what I wanted to do, and we should have done it earlier. Hopefully, there's still people watching at this point. But
yeah,
guys, if whoever's out there, let us know in the comments like who you are. Are you an investor? Are you a realtor? Are you a buyer? Are you a developer? Like we want to get a better idea of who our listeners are so that maybe, you know, we can talk about things that might be interesting to you if we don't already, which is probably a likely scenario. Anyway, sorry. Mr.
Twitter. Comment, subscribe. The story that I was telling was what? About pricing.
Pricing.
There's no clear answer, Dale.
Strategies.
Pricing is an art. It's not a science.
Have you been like, that guy did a good job on that listing?
Yes.
Priced it right. Like what's good now? What are guys doing now to stand out these days?
They're priced ahead of the market.
That's it. It's just the goddamn price. You're not doing like drone videos and all kinds
depending on the property.
Marketing budgets are exploding. Like what the hell?
We have all that as well too. I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know that doesn't matter how much, you know, marketing or staging or painting or landscaping you have. If you have the wrong price, buyers aren't going to want to come and see it.
I think no matter what the situation is, people should pay more if there are in-ground sprinklers. Trust me, this is a luxury item that is like no other, except for that robot vacuum you bought me. That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah,
Still works, man. Crazy. Okay,
yeah.
what else is going on out there? So people are saying things are kind of looking like they're turning around. We're like peak inflation, and I don't understand how that's even possible at this point. I mean, we had a number that was like 0.3% lower than the expectation, and everybody thinks things are turning. Although the bond market has turned considerably
The
from
the
a few
rate the
weeks.
rate the rate hikes are probably coming close to an end, right? Like they're not, it doesn't look like we're going to be going up into the stratosphere of rates. I
I
feel like
don't think we need to.
the
They've fucked
terminal
things
rate
up
is going to
already.
be slightly above neutral.
I think
3.25, 3.5, something like that. That's I think what the market's pricing in right now.
I think we hit the terminal rate. We just haven't felt its effects yet. And just like the same later, it's going to be too late and too fucked up. But
And that
like,
they you think they're going to overshoot it then?
I don't know what they're
You
going to
think
do.
right
But
now
like,
they should stop, but they're going to overshoot it and continue?
no, I
No.
think I don't think they're going to stop now. I think they're going to raise again, and then I think maybe they'll coast for a little bit and see what
Mm.
happens. But I think they've already done a ton of damage, and we just haven't seen it yet. Like jobs, we lost like over 70,000 jobs in the last 2
Yeah.
months, right?
Yeah. Look at Amazon, 100,000, all the tech firms and stuff like that. Shopify, like everybody's cleaning house right now.
Everybody's getting killed, and if they're
Yeah.
not cleaning house, they're putting freezes on hiring, right?
Yeah.
But it's like weird. It's like people are kind of moving from sector to sector. Like there's certain sectors that actually gained,
Mhm.
and there's sectors that are like dying for labor right
Look at the
now.
hospitals,
How is healthcare on the
right?
decline? Like they're all just like, fuck this shit. I'm going somewhere
Yeah.
else, I think.
Like
Like
that's crazy. Like doctor shortages throughout Canada is like a big issue,
now though,
major issue. And I,
now.
yeah, and
Oh yeah, it's
little
crazy.
sister is applying for med school now, right? And
Great. So she'll be a
it's
doctor in 8 years.
it's next to impossible for somebody to get into Canadian med schools, right? Like it is. It's like
Yeah.
it's a very tough challenge. And a lot of the people who do get in may not even stay here in Canada. So you have to go abroad. And then when you go abroad, guess what happens? You get, a lifestyle outside of the country, and all of a sudden you might end up working in one of those other countries. So that's something that I think it needs to be improved on. Um, you know, Importing nurses. I mean, I'm sure that that's possible. I'm sure there's lots of, skilled, nursing candidates out there that, the government could be working on. But I think really
Yeah,
what
but
it
you have
is,
to shuttle them in from somewhere they can afford to live.
yeah, one of the things, and that's the truth too. It's hard for them to afford to live here. I think the main thing is just the burnout from the last couple of years working all those hours. They're all tired, and they're all just they're retiring early. They're basically just saying enough is enough, and people aren't
Well,
really
that's a
like
lot of it.
keen
Yeah.
on getting in.
Retirement.
Yeah, yeah.
But what's even worse, I mean, than the job losses and our actual unemployment rate is the participation amount of people in the market is dropping like crazy. And like
Yeah.
people are just like, who
I love
needs
how
this crap?
I love how they include in the unemployment rate people who just aren't looking for a job right now.
But you know what? How many people are out there and over the last 2 years started making a decent living by making YouTube videos or selling stuff on Shopify or whatever the hell they are doing right now that
Mhm.
they don't even report to their local government, or
Yeah.
maybe in the last couple months just recently had to start reporting stuff to their government as rules have changed. But like, what about all these people that are out there that are just they're making more money than ever, maybe, or
CRA's cracking down on that. So you're right. There'll be some people who will
but
remain
they're
unreported,
not
but
unemployed.
CRA's cracking down on that. Yeah. So
Right.
there's a lot of stuff happening right now for taxes, and the government's trying to make sure that they collect as much taxes owed as possible, and they're hitting everybody in every area, especially housing. We didn't talk about this, but especially housing, because what happens when you fully renovate a property?
Are you asking me a question?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
What
What
happens
happens?
when you fully renovate a property? You go in there
You
and
spend a lot of damn money.
you got out the installation, the drywall, the wiring.
Get some credits. Are you asking about these credits the government are giving, like as
No, when you sell
incentive?
that property, it's
Yeah.
subject to HST.
When you renovate it?
Yep. Any
Only when you
substantial
renovate it?
renovation, any substantial renovation, which doesn't have to be like putting on a second story, but it includes that. It can just be a full gut reno on a Roncesvalles semi, and you're subject to HST. So when you go to sell that property and you think, well, I'm making all this money, and you find out later on that
Oh, the price was inclusive of HST.
and the price was inclusive, that you didn't get it from the buyer, the seller's on the hook. Right?
So what happens there? The buyer
the
has to
government-
pay it?
No. Good question.
All right.
Yeah. If it's inclusive of HST, no.
No, well, the buyer. Oh no, right. It comes.
It's inclusive.
Out.
The
Right.
seller,
So the seller
owes
just lost a
the
shit ton of money
13% of that money,
Yeah.
right? You divide the price by 1.13.
Oh, well, I mean, I imagine that should come up in the discussion with the realtor before pricing the house.
Well, not a lot of realtors are very experienced in accounting, Daryl. It's
But
not.
is this
it's
an
not in the
accounting
course.
thing?
It's
Is
not
this
in
an
the,
account?
It's an
This
accounting
isn't
thing.
in the course.
This isn't
All
in the
the
course.
fucking stuff about septic tanks.
No.
And
Sorry,
tunnels.
It's not in the initial course that I took, which I couldn't tell you what the course is today. It's not in the initial course that I took. It is in some of the RICO update courses though. Yeah. So you are supposed to know about
This
it.
is a very important factor if you're about to sell a renovated house
or a brand new house, right? Or anything like that.
Yeah, like this is a major factor.
Yeah. So again, anyways, they're cracking down. The big thing is these builders who build the properties, no Terry on warranty. They say, I'm living in it, and then they don't want to pay HST. You know those guys, Daryl?
I am one of them, TK. I
Right?
got busted.
This is what it is.
Oh,
This is what
first
it is.
house I did, that went okay. The next two, Terry on was put on to me by my angry realtor.
Yeah. So this is what it is. You've got, HST requirements on new homes and substantially renovated homes. And so the government's going to look at that. They're also going to look at
How did we get onto this?
not claimed sales, right? So if you've got capital gains, but you don't tell anybody that you sold the property, the CRA is looking into it. They got a lot of people sitting around these offices in Sudbury just looking for people who haven't paid their taxes.
Oh, they're looking for people now.
They need money right now. They are coming to collect.
Back. So hold on a sec. So we touched on this a little while back. I don't know how we got onto this topic, but people are deciding to take their houses off the market and put them into the rental pool.
Yes.
Because our next issue, the rental market is fucking crazy right now. I'm hearing stuff. Tom's Story, I think, put out a video, said 12 to 20 offers on downtown Toronto rentals right now.
Yeah.
This is who's renting this stuff? Who's here? Who's coming so fast? What's going on with the rental market? This is
I don't have the
insane.
stats on it, but I imagine it's just the same exact people who are trying to buy all those houses in the beginning of the year.
Is it not like the students? Students coming back?
The students take up the low end things, right? And kind of push everybody up. We got a site where the guy did a church conversion, and some of the pricing in the building is not where he needed it to be. And so one of my partners is leasing them out, and there's definitely a lot of activity. A lot of people want to get into these units and want to be able to rent a place, and it's interesting to say the least, how far that rental market can really go, right? I'm not in that space as often, but definitely there's a ton of demand right now, which just shows that there's demand for housing. Once interest rates even show a sign of slowing down, and some media outlet picks up that, prices may have hit a bottom, wait till you see all the people rush back into the market. You cannot, I've told you this for 2 years, you cannot stop Toronto buyers. They will not stop wanting to buy Toronto real estate. Only when you take away their financial capabilities will they slow down just a little bit. That's it. When
until they figure it out.
Exactly. So until they adjust. So they're like, I'm going to get a 3-bedroom. I'm going to get a 3-bedroom detached. I'm going to get a 3-bedroom detached in the core. I'm going to get a 3-bedroom detached in the core, fully renovated. And then boom, you take away their qualifying amount. And then they said, a semi in Pickering. Geez, that's not okay. And they're like, well, maybe one day I'll just afford a detached 3-bedroom that's not renovated. Maybe I'll just get a semi 3-bedroom in the core that's not renovated. Well, maybe I'll get a townhouse in Scarborough. You know what? Semi's in Pickering. It's not so bad. Yeah, okay. I'm moving to Pickering. And now they bought it again.
Townhouse in Pickering's looking pretty good, honey.
Psychologically,
Yeah.
they figured it out what they need to do, and then they end up buying what they know they can get. And that just
Oh
takes
my
a few
God.
months.
But now, like a townhouse in Pickering must be like $3,000 a month on a mortgage, or $3,500 on a
Probably, yeah.
mortgage.
Probably, yeah.
Holy,
2,800 or something.
can you imagine? And so I saw somebody put out a tweet where they were like, actually, he was on the show before, Luke from Market Mania Canada.
Yeah. We're gonna get him back on.
Yeah, so he put up a map, and he was showing like a price on this side of the border in Ontario, like Niagara Falls is like 550,000 and gets like $1,900 a month for rent. And on the other side, like a 8-minute or 10-minute drive away, but on the New York side, the house sells for like 244 and gets $1,800 a month rent. And he's like, what the hell's going on? It's like 5 minutes around the corner. I mean, it's across a border too, but
I get his message though.
well, but so he says it's like predatory lending. That's the issue. And realtors that are pumping up all the markets.
Yeah. The buyers control the market. If the buyers are going to pay 550 on this side of the border,
the buyers are kind of like,
it's because there's more than one of them who's willing to do it.
They're like, you know, when you watch your kids when they're really little play soccer and they all run, and it's like they're all in single family houses, and now we can't afford single family houses, so they're all like, okay, everybody go to semis, let's go to semis. But if you look at the numbers, like how did prices of semis, average price of semis and townhouses month over month, they went up. Okay. Toronto single family went down, but those other two segments and condos went really up. Like that's a dynamic of readjusting in the market, isn't it? That the lower price points all of a sudden are up.
Like you go and you whether it's
listings are going down,
whether it's true or not, right? Whether it's true or not. Remember, the buyers who are buying have been researching for the last 6 to 12 months, so they're programmed to think a certain price point for a certain type of house. So when they go back to their bank and the bank says, you know what, instead of a $400,000 mortgage, you're only going to get a $325,000 mortgage. They say, well, now I can't afford a detached. I'm okay with a semi. Let's just target semis. And they start looking at semis. Reality is some detached may have also come down into their price point that they just don't know about. But bottom line is they're all focusing on those lower end properties. And then what the other side of this is what I told you. There's a whole bunch of people coming into the market now for various reasons who weren't in the market before.
Including the evil investors.
Not a lot of investors are in the market right now. The way that the rookie novice investors are not in the market right now.
What about guys with cash that are just buying houses for
They're
cash?
coming in. Absolutely. Yeah. They're calling me and saying like, okay, wow, this is what I've been waiting for. Yeah.
Cash time. Refi
Find
later.
me a deal. Find me a deal. Find me somebody who's in need of selling, and I'm here to buy it up, and they know what they're doing.
So the one thing that we still need to talk about that we haven't talked about, and we've talked about a lot, TK, a lot.
7.5 minutes worth. Let's go.
You talk about it as much as you want. This next potential, I think it's the next potential deferral cliff, but some people think it may be something coming down the pipe.
That deferral cliff, that worked out.
Ooh, that was scary.
That was nuts. Oh my God. Massive.
But now we have sales. What are we calling it now?
Trigger rates.
The trigger rates.
Yeah.
The trigger
I sent you that
rates.
NBC article. Or National Bank article.
You sent me nothing, TK. You sent me
I didn't
nothing.
send it to you.
It's okay. Telepathically, you can send it to me later because it's way easier to edit if we don't share the screen.
Don't share screen? Okay, sorry. I won't share.
I'll edit it later.
Okay,
I'll reference it here.
Great. National Bank put out a chart and it just showed where the trigger rate will be. And the highest rates were in Q3 of 2019, I believe. And the lowest rates would have been in Q1 of 2022. Anyways, they posted where those trigger rates will be based on, the overnight rate. And they don't expect that to happen this year.
Is there a re-trigger of the trigger if it goes back the other way? I mean, not that you're a
No,
mortgage.
because in the
How
contract,
hell
it
do you
triggers
know?
rate, and it's based off of, you know, the amount of money that you owe and what your discount is on the prime rate, right? So everyone's got that trigger rate already built into their contract. So once it hits that point, you know, the bank says, look, you're not paying off
Enough.
all of your principal or any of your principal. So we need to increase this and re-amortize it back to the schedule to show that you're going to be paying off a certain amount of money over that 25 years. So your mortgage is paid off.
Is the trigger when you get to a point where you are no longer paying down like any principal?
I think so. I think it's you're no longer paying any principal and it's all interest.
All
I could be
interest?
wrong. It could be
Must
like
be a little before that.
just yeah, it might be for that.
So I mean, for some, that's got to be kind of scary because I don't think anybody was really expecting the rate hikes to be as hard and deep and fast as they've been, right? I mean, what I wonder, has this ever been an issue ever before, or is this
No,
trigger
never heard
rate
of
a
it.
response?
Never
Right.
heard of it.
But the trigger rate must be in
It's a
response to the
it's a
last time this happened, where
it's the
rates went up
fear
fast.
it's the fear mongering media.
No, but it's a
Letting
thing. It's in the
it's a thing.
contracts.
I know it's a thing. I
For
know.
how many people though? Like, is this a
Not
big
very many.
segment?
Not very
No.
many. Yeah, because even the amount of people who have a variable rate, not an adjustable rate, not a fixed rate, but actually have a variable rate, where this is like a fixed payment, consistently paying the same amount every month, but their interest and principal ratios are getting, you know, adjusted accordingly. It's a smaller group of people.
I think we should.
What are the numbers? I think it was
I don't
15
know,
to 20%, something like that, of mortgages.
are going to hit the
Yeah, and then what we're saying, okay, so just what the fear mongering people are
who's
saying
saying 15-20%?
of people are having this type of mortgage where this will actually where a trigger rate will actually
Where there's
impact them.
even a trigger rate.
Then you have to say to yourself, okay, well, how many of those people can't afford their new rate? They've been
or how many of
tested.
them will actually hit their trigger rate? Like there's
Well,
that many people that
all
have
of them
it.
do.
All of them?
Let's just say all of them do. Okay, so now all
Whoa.
these mortgages come due. Then
Right.
what?
How
All
many
these-
can't
all these
afford the
people,
increase?
are all going to be broke. They just all of a sudden can't afford their mortgages. Maybe people have really small mortgages that they can afford 3 times that mortgage. Their stress tests based on their income at the time of qualifying said that they could afford 20% more. So why would that not be the same today?
And
Sure,
you're
a couple
allowed to
people-
fix it. When the trigger rate gets hit, one of the options is that you're allowed to fix your rate now.
You can go back to a fix. Yeah, anytime you can. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can just say, hey, yeah, okay, here you go. This is what my rate will be based on the posted
So I
rates.
think our first 2 t-shirts for the merch store, TK, one should be like I fell off the deferral cliff.
Nice.
Right? And the other one should be
victim of the trigger rates.
Right.
Triggered. Yeah, we're laughing not in an insensitive way because, you know, these are real scenarios that we would never want anyone to happen, but the fact we're laughing because it's one of these storylines that people are putting out there in the bear camp to say this is why everything is going to crash. And it could happen. Listen,
it's a fear. It's a fear.
A national bank, they did a report that said it won't. I'm going to take National Bank's report over what I read on Twitter.
Well, I mean, listen, when we're doing calculations here, like off the cuff, it like just a month-over-month decline of 5%, which you actually took down 1 point something percent from the actual current month's numbers, right? So you're being generous. It could go the other way where it's even higher, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you figure out what the hell to do? Like, if you have to sell, you have to sell now. And if you have to buy, like, everybody thinks rates are going up another 0.75, 1%, like in a month, right? Like, are people not jumping into whatever the fuck they can right now?
The only thing I can say, and it's good investment advice, I think, in every area of any asset, okay, is when you need the money, sell your property. When you need a place to live, buy one.
But it used to be when you need money, just refinance your property.
Well, if you can refinance it, but if you need more than that
Times are changing.
you need more than that money, you're a seller. People who sell, it's because they need the money. I've never met
Right.
anybody who thought, you know, I'm just going to sell the property because, you know, I got lots of money. I got lots of things going on, and, you know, it's, you know, there's too much money and I just want to add more to it. No, there's always like, I'm going to put it into another property. I'm going to invest it in this. I'm going to retire. I'm going to help my kids. There's always a reason to sell. And if you have that reason to sell, move on with life, enjoy yourself, take that money and put it into something else. If you go and buy another asset, all the markets are down, you're going to end up benefiting from any appreciation you would get elsewhere. My final
If you
notes.
don't end up with any money? What if
you
you're
don't end up
upside
with any
down?
money and you don't,
What if
well,
you
then,
bought
you
in
know,
February?
you're saving yourself from, you know, potentially bankruptcy and more
Worse.
stress. Yeah,
Right.
seriously. And then my final sort of answer here to everybody on the rental side is you're going to trigger capital gains if you end up getting that money back later on, right? So if you're thinking about selling and you're worried about the amount of money and you're going to rent and all that kind of stuff, what happens if you don't get that price? Your house was worth $1 million in February 2022. The market drops 40%. Worst case scenario. Now it's worth 600. In order for it to go up another 400,000 back to where it was, okay, that's what would that be? 66% return. Okay, and the average increase in the real estate market 5-6% a year. So you're talking about like 8 or 9 years before you get back to 1 million. You're going to rent it out for that long and pay capital gains on that money and deal with all the tenants nonsense because you're too proud of selling for less money than you could have what your neighbors got. It just doesn't make sense to me. But
I don't know. Right
everybody
now,
should make the decision based on their own situation, not because of what the realtors are telling you or the media is telling you. Look at your own situation and you'll be very
this is
happy.
what I would do.
Yeah.
You want to hear what I would do?
Tell me.
If I was in that situation, I would, especially in Toronto right now, like a single family house.
Yeah.
For a monthly rental is like what? At least $3,000 if it's small.
Okay.
Maybe more than that.
At least, yeah.
So let's say $3,000. I can rent my house for $3,000 to somebody for a couple of years. Nice family comes in, they pay $3,000. I'm going to Mexico and I'm paying like $1,500 a month rent, and I'm riding out the storm and I'm chilling out on a beach, collecting rent on my house, and
With
hopefully,
no income.
Well, I mean, you still have income.
From
Me
pesos?
personally. Well, yeah, listen, I'll go tie people's braids on the beach and drive a cab, and I'll get tips for being a good tour guide. I'll make money anywhere, TK. It's not.
I know you would. I know you would. But
You can
Darryl,
ride out the storm.
our conversation today has been excellent.
Yeah,
I'm
until
heading
about now.
I'm heading to the core. I got to go to Midtown. So
Enjoy yourself, TK.
you're the best.
It's always a pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
I can't be the best when I'm sharing a room with you, but
Well,
outside of this room,
we're tied for best.
we are tied for best, TK.
Thanks, Darryl.
You have a good day, sir.
You too. Bye.